So again, 300,000 people lost power when all of this happened. They are slowly, gradually, as we're told, as each hour progresses, bringing a few more people up. It is a very delicate situation. You can't just flip one switch and bring everybody up. They could knock the entire system out. RG&E, again, will be briefing us again on the situation, because the latest numbers coming up in just about a half an hour.
About 30 minutes from right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, because we were at the golf course today, as many people were, and driving there, the traffic lights and the electricity was on in some areas. As we drove down East Avenue through Brighton and into Rochester, there was nothing. And then downtown here, we were back on. And I asked Dick Marion about that. How is it that certain pockets have power and certain pockets don't have power? And he equated it to kind of your circuit breakers in your house. When a circuit goes, you may lose power in your kitchen and up in a bedroom, you know, far from that area, and that's kind of the way it works, where some areas are on that particular part of the grid, others are not.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Brett, thank you.
Okay. Right. Well, as we mentioned earlier, Monroe County Executive Jack Doyle held a news conference earlier this evening to declare a state of emergency here in Monroe County. Here is a portion of that news conference.
But let me first say that as of 7 o'clock tonight, we have issued a state of emergency for the county in light of the fact that we have 575 traffic lights that are not operational, and we consider it a real danger to the community in light of the fact that these traffic signals are not operating. We're asking residents not to engage in any unnecessary travel due to this power grid failure that obviously is throughout the eastern part of the United States, and we are part of that problem. Is not in a situation where we can have people going to the emergency room there. Right. I'll ask Dr. Downinger in a few minutes to speak about that also. Anyone who is in need of power, residents who are in need of power, should first try to see whether a neighbor or someone in their immediate area may have power. This would be some type of medical device for oxygen or resuscitation, and Dr. Downinger is going to cover that also. Residents who need power for medical equipment should only go to the hospitals as an absolute last resort. That is a very important point we want to make. Now, RG&E and Mr. Wickham are advising that all of our residents should treat this power system as having the potential to come online and come live at any moment. And hence, this is not like a storm where the power lines are down and interrupted, and hence there will be no power even if the grid system goes up. This is a system that could go live at any moment, so residents obviously must be careful if they're trying to interconnect their own generator with the system in their home, because this would be live power that they may encounter if the system goes on in their particular area. We have we're asking all of our residents to turn off their air conditioning systems and to turn off any unnecessary power usage, because if the system does go up and the grid goes up, having all of these air conditioning systems on may cause further problems and trip the system back out of operational levels. So air conditioners that went out because they lost electricity should be manually turned off so that they are not going to overload the system as it tries to come back online. We have activated the Emergency Operations Center here at 4:30. Muffy Meisenzahl has done that. We have most of our operational departments from the city of Rochester, the county, Pure Waters, RG&E, and many, many others that most of the media people are familiar with. Our police, fire, gas, EMS agencies, our Department of Transportation, Public Safety are all here. The 911 communication system is functioning, it is operational, and we understand that that will continue based on backup power. So the 911 system is working. We also have the Red Cross here with us, and local business representatives here are here to assist us. We are asking the public, we understand obviously that a lot of people do not have operational television, but that they do have radios and portable radios that may work, or their car radio. We will be making further announcements on local media channels that we ordinarily would do through our emergency operations activities. Residents are reminded that calls to 911 should be only limited to those requiring immediate police, fire, or emergency medical services. Calling 911 will not get your power restored, and that's a very important point. Only for emergency medical services or fire or police services. Cell phone use, we're discouraging the use of cell phones. The cell phone system can get very easily overloaded, and hence those who need emergency power or emergency help may have to use a cell phone, and we're asking people not to use their cell phones. Now I'm going to ask Dennis Wickham to come up, and Dennis will explain to you how the system, to his knowledge, is currently functioning and what the prospects are, and then we'll ask Dr. Doniger to speak, please. Dennis?
Thank you. This clearly is a significant power outage. It goes well beyond New York State, and the organization that we take direction from for overseeing the bulk power part of our system, the major part of our system, is the New York Independent System Operator, which is located in Albany. The Independent System Operator will direct restoration of the system. They will give us orders as to which lines to bring back in and which power plants to bring back online, and they will be responsible for overseeing the restoration. They will give us orders, and we will be restoring large parts of the system. And as was mentioned earlier, unlike an ice storm, when we bring back major parts of the system, in this case, there may be a large neighborhoods that come back on as opposed to a few houses coming back on. So we need to treat this as a make sure that people are aware of the safety ramifications of that, and try to avoid any safety issues with that. So the Independent System Operator, we believe, has initiated restoration. This will take a while for restoration, but they have ordered a few power plants to come back online, and they are coming back online. There's a set process that they use to restore the system for New York State, and so they will be bringing power plants on in various locations across the state to most efficiently bring the system back to full capability. So that's basically where we are, and you know, obviously we're unaware of the cause at this point, and obviously we'll be restoring the system at the direction of the Independent System Operator.
We'll take questions in a few minutes, but I'd like Dr. Doniger to speak now, please.
We're dealing with a number of different health issues in the community. As the county executive mentioned a few minutes ago, Park Ridge Hospital is apparently without power and without emergency backup power right now. However, the patients that are there are being cared for safely, and they are not being transported at this time. We are in communication with all of the hospitals. The hospitals have a mutual aid plan and can support each other should it be necessary to move patients from one hospital to another. The patients that are at Park Ridge, most of them that are on life support equipment or IVs, most of that equipment has backup battery power, and we're hoping that we will have the overall power restored or another backup power system put in place sometime this evening. So there isn't a plan to actually move patients. There are a number of patients that are in their homes or in other settings in the community that are without power, and they may need electricity to drive various devices such as oxygen generating devices or ventilators. And our first recommendation to those patients would be to try to find a friend or family member that has power and go stay with them if you can. At this point, we have not opened special shelters. We are in communication with the Red Cross, and we are making some preliminary plans to open some locations where people might be able to get this kind of power.
And of course, what you just watched and listened to was in fact taped from earlier tonight. That's a couple of hours ago, and there were a couple of mentions of Park Ridge Hospital. We want to tell you Park Ridge Hospital is in fact open. RG&E will be holding another news conference tonight at 10 o'clock. We will have the very latest on what they have to say about that, and we'll update you more on the Park Ridge Hospital situation in just a moment. Well, the power outage did slightly affect the championship at Oak Hill. The main clubhouse and several tents lost power. Rich Funke joins us live from Oak Hill Country Club with more. Rich, is most of the country club still in the dark tonight?
Well, it appears to me that the power has been restored to the clubhouse just a little while ago, Brian, so that's good news. There were 35,000 people out here today watching Phil Mickelson and Rob Pampling take the lead in the first round of the PGA Championship, and those watching were basically oblivious to the power outage. Rick Hager talked with spectators leaving the golf course today.
With the clubhouse dark, the first round continued. Most of the fans didn't know about the power outage.
We had no idea. We've been out here enjoying the day and had no idea.
The phone banks were busy as word began to spread through the gallery.
Well, we called home just now, and there's no power in my hometown, which is about 3.5 hours from here. It's a small town called Little Falls, New York, and we heard that the whole eastern seaboard is out.
The concession stands remained open.
We have our own power here.
The first round was completed as scheduled.
I'll be concerned when I get home and there's no AC in my house, but other than that, you know, just have to have fun while I'm out here right now.
Rick Hager, News 10 NBC.
Well, as far as the shuttles were concerned, it was slow between 4:30 and 5:30, and as a matter of fact, it has been slow. We talked to some of the shuttle drivers. It takes them about twice as much time. It took them about twice as much time to get their spectators back to the big lot in Henrietta tonight. As for the party goers in the corporate tents, those without generators also lost power late this afternoon. Now, with the county in a state of emergency, Tournament Director Bob Jeffries and other Oak Hill officials have been meeting tonight to discuss how to handle the thousands of spectators expected to be here tomorrow for round 2. Kerry Haig is the managing director of PGA Tournaments. He had very few answers when we talked with him tonight.
Tournament Director Bob Jeffrey and our security people have been talking, and obviously, you know, if and when we need to do something, we will. At this point, we haven't been told anything other than, you know, play will continue.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will not be an issue tomorrow and everybody will have the power back on. That's the story from Oak Hill right now, Brian.
All right, thanks, Rich. Did any real effect with the players? Did you happen to talk to any of the players at all about the power outage? Did it affect anything at all?
Yeah, we did. Hank Keeney was one of the first players to come in, the first one that I talked to about it, and he didn't know that anything had happened. He said, you know, I don't need any power to play golf, so I wasn't affected by it, at least not electrical power. I'd, you know, take some issue with the power that he needs on 17 and 18 here at this golf course. Lee Jansen also, you know, they were all surprised about it when we talked to them when they come in, but they knew something was wrong because they had to go into the clubhouse to sign their scorecards, and it was dark in there, and they were trying to figure out what was going on, and everybody began to tell them. But they thought initially that the power outage was just here at Oak Hill. They had no idea that this was a Northeast problem. I'll tell you what, it didn't affect them today, but when they go home tonight, either at their hotel or at whatever private home that they're staying at, it may affect what kind of rest they get tonight, and it could very well affect them in round 2 tomorrow. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Rich, reporting live from Oak Hill Country Club. And Monroe County Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn does tell News 10 NBC that the championship at Oak Hill will go on tomorrow as planned. To reiterate, the sheriff says there will be more police on patrol to direct traffic at the Dome Center in Henrietta and at Oak Hill in Pittsford.
We want to let you know that all local hospitals are open and they are accepting emergency cases. Earlier tonight there was concern that Park Ridge Hospital in Greece lost its backup power. Medical reporter Robin DeWin joins us live from our newsroom with more information. Robin.
Yeah, well, Janet, we do want to clarify a few things. We just talked to officials at Park Ridge Hospital, and we want to clarify what the health director said earlier. Power is back on, full power is back on at Park Ridge Hospital, and the emergency department is back open. But for about an hour and 15 minutes earlier this evening, Park Ridge Hospital did not have any power. When the power went out this afternoon, Park Ridge Hospital's emergency backup generator went on. But about an hour later, that generator failed, and it's still unclear why at this point. Now, during that time, no patients were in the operating room and no one was on a ventilator. Patients were being cared for. RG&E was working with the local water authority to bring in another generator, but before that generator arrived, the backup power came back on.
The emergency generator did fail for a short period of time, but that is now back up online. And again, we're operating all of the necessary patient telemetry, cardiac monitoring, all that kind of thing. Our patients are safe.
And we do want to say we were around the hospital for a period of time tonight, and there didn't seem to be any panic among families or among workers. Everyone was working to maintain patient care. That was certainly the priority, and to keep things calm. And again, Park Ridge Hospital is accepting emergency patients. Strong, Highland, Rochester General Hospitals, they did not lose power. They had a brownout for about 5 minutes, but they were on full power for the rest of the evening. And again, they're asking people, obviously, to only use the hospital at this point for emergency purposes. Reporting live from the newsroom, medical reporter Robin DeWin, News 10 NBC.
All right, Robin, thank you very much. Monroe County officials are urging everyone who has power to conserve energy. That means don't run your air conditioner all night and turn off all other unnecessary electrical appliances. Now, the Red Cross is also urging families to come up with an emergency plan and a meeting place. You should also keep an emergency kit nearby with the following items inside: a flashlight, batteries, and portable radio or TV. Well, one of the real dangers tonight is the intersections with no working traffic lights. A car and a camper crashed into each other at the corner of Ames Street and West Avenue. The stoplight was out. One woman was taken to the hospital, and 2 people went to the hospital after this accident at the intersection of Lexington Avenue and Mount Read Boulevard. Firefighters say the SUV hit the car and flipped over a couple of times. Once again, the traffic lights were out there too.
They're bound to happen. It's just going to be a lot scarier when it gets to be dark, once we have no traffic control. Law states pretty much clear that, you know, if we don't have traffic control in an intersection like that and the lights are out, that everybody come to a 4-way stop. Pretty obviously here that somebody didn't.
Now, firefighters say that the people in the Lexington Avenue accident were not hurt that badly. Once again, this is the law. If the lights are out, the intersection turns into a 4-way stop. The driver to the right has the right-of-way. Coming up, we'll head to the weather lab to find out more about today's possible lightning strike in Niagara Falls.
Trucks are rolling in, loaded down with tons of mattress value for the Truckload Sealy Sale at Raymore and Flanagan Furniture. Nobody offers more selection. Nobody sells for less, guaranteed. Just look. Queen-size Sealy Posturepedic 2-piece sets are truckload priced at only $349 with factory-trained specialists to assist you. Fast, free delivery, and nothing to pay for as long as a year. The best costs less during this Truckload Sealy Sale. Now through Monday at Raymore and Flanagan Furniture.
Don't say no bad words, cause you ain't no puppet show. Always use good manners when you're eating a sloppy jow. Yeah, go on and on and on and on. Peace!
Mr. Jiggyfly, I have good news.
You enjoyed it then?
No, I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Just be yourself. You'll do fine. When we first met, I knew there was something special about him.
For a while.
But today,
It's all right with you. I'd like to take you both to Friendly's.
I'd see just how special.
Friendly's Chicken Choices, our country club chicken sandwich, barbecue chicken platter, or our new Oriental chicken wrap. Now try any of our chicken choices and get a hot fudge sundae free.
Mom, I like our new friend. You and me and Friendly's.
Your Dodge dealers have added some huge extras to the great deals at the Dodge Summer Sales Drive now during a special 72-hour event. Get no extra charge lube, oil, and filter changes for 3 to 7 years. Plus, your choice of cash allowances of up to $4,500 and no monthly payments until next year. Or 0% APR financing on select models. Plus, get Dodge's 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. But you'd better get rolling because this 72-hour event ends Monday, August 18th.
All right, we're going to go right to the source, and we're going to talk to Kevin Williams. Lightning, a lot of people are throwing around lightning could be the cause. They're saying lightning could have hit a power supply in New York State. I was out at the PGA today, and I know our weather is pretty similar to what happens in Buffalo, a little bit similar to what happens to Niagara Falls. I didn't see not only a cloud in the sky, any chance of lightning in the air.
You know, we can't say for sure about the possible cause of this event. Obviously, Brian, there's much yet to be learned. But I can say with certainty there was no lightning. Yeah. Look at this satellite image. This takes us back to 4 o'clock this afternoon. Not only was there no lightning at Niagara, there was no rain. In fact, there were no clouds. They were all in eastern New York. And as we roll this through, as we put this into motion, nothing at all. So while lightning could have been a factor in previous days, Brian, from the events that we saw earlier in the week with all the rain, perhaps lightning strike then might have degraded the system. Clearly, there were no lightning strikes from the data we saw today, the research we did in the Niagara area or anywhere within hundreds of miles of western New York today.
Could have been a past day. That hasn't been ruled out yet, but...
That I could see as a possibility, but the idea that lightning struck, I believe the Canadian Prime Minister suggested that. I believe I heard that. Right. Today, Niagara, no. There's just no evidence of that as a possible cause.
Let's talk about the high load of electricity. Was today, did it really get that hot, I mean, across the state for this electricity to go out?
Very peculiar indeed, because today, while a warm day was hardly overwhelming, it is August after all. Look at these high temperatures. I mean, 91 in New York City, sure, that's a hot day. They get those kinds of days 3 dozen times a year. 83 Binghamton, 88 in Toronto. Notice, Brian, 1 year ago today, though, check these numbers out. 97 in Rochester, 101 in Syracuse, and by the way, there were no major blackouts 1 year ago today. So, you know, it was clearly a much hotter time 1 year ago. Well, again, we can't rule out weather as a possible cause. There's no indication to suggest these conditions were in any way unusual. Just a typical August day with no lightning, and that's what the data shows. Right. So we'll continue to watch this evolve, but I'll be very curious to see what the final cause is. Weather, though, kind of iffy.
It's a little iffy. Well, I've got an AP report here that says the demand across the state was about 29,000 megawatts, which several thousand megawatts below the system's capacity.
That would be consistent with the temperatures we saw today. Certainly a warm day, but nothing even close for the record books.
Okay, very good. Kevin, thanks. Now back to Janet.
All right, thank you very much. You know, the power outages really couldn't have come at a worse time for local restaurants and hotels that are dealing with those crowds of people from the PGA. For more now on how those restaurants, those businesses are coping, Kristen Salome joins us. What's happening out there tonight?
Well, Janet, it certainly is a bad time for hotels and restaurants. Many of them are sold out, so they're doing what they can to stay open and not disappoint their customers. Bushnell's Basin is one area where businesses have been without power. Richardson's Canal House decided to make the best of the situation. They have a gas-powered outdoor grill to cook on, so they moved all of their tables outside and got some extra candles and tiki torches to keep the bugs away. They also had to take some precautions, of course, to keep all of their food cold, but the guests really didn't seem to mind at all. And at the Brookwood Inn down the street, they have a generator to power their lobby lights, but the manager had to hand out flashlights to the guests who have no power in their rooms, and of course that means no air conditioning. But so far, no one has checked out there because of the problem. We ran into golfer Ian Poulter there, who says no power, no big deal.
We only just arrived back at the hotel, so hopefully there will be some water that we can have a shower with, and yeah, we can. I've had dinner at the golf course, so it's not too much of a problem.
Okay. So you're willing to survive without TV tonight? I guess you got no choice.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll put my head down and get an early night's kit.
And the hotels without power don't really have to worry about losing any of their customers because virtually every hotel in the area is booked solid. So even if they don't have power, they've got no place else to go. So no one's leaving.
These businesses are being really creative, though.
They really are.
And you know, when you think about it, all these fans who are in town, they're going to remember this PGA for many reasons.
It seems
Not
like
just the golf.
Right, and everybody's kind of in crisis mentality. People are pulling together, and actually people seem to be in good spirits. Everyone I talked to from the hotels and the restaurants said they weren't getting complaints. Everybody was very understanding. And the guests just, you know, seem to know what can you do? You just got to roll with it. And most people are there on vacation to have a good time, so they're trying to do just that.
All right. Kristen, thank you.
Well, one of the most visible signs of the power outage is not having any traffic lights. Now, if you're driving, be on the lookout. There were a lot of traffic tie-ups this afternoon. Berkeley Breen has more on the backups.
It was a rush hour that turned parts of Rochester and Monroe County into a parking lot. The power outage knocked out traffic lights all over the area. Mike Kramer was trying to leave the PGA Golf Tournament at Oak Hill.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, you'd stop, one car would go, sometimes two would go. We went by a couple of police officers. Nobody seemed to really take any concern. They went through the lights just like we did.
The driving is actually not too bad. People are being really polite, taking turns, letting each other go. The expressways are a little slow, but you know, people seem to be pretty courteous. So.
The power outage did not blanket the entire Rochester area, but it did knock out traffic lights in some of the busiest areas, leaving some drivers just shaking their heads. The power outage hit Rochester right at rush hour, creating huge traffic jams at intersections like this one at Winton and East Avenue. Rochester police say they're identifying critical locations in the blackout.
It certainly is affecting the rush hour traffic getting home, but we just ask for citizens to remain calm and take their time getting home. We are asking people to do is just remain home, remain calm, and we'll wait to see what occurs with this.
And that was Berkeley Breen reporting. Well, coming up, we will have a live report from the Emergency Operations Center on Scottsville Road.
And we're going to tell you about some shelters in the area for people with special medical needs, so stay tuned.
Arby's 5 for $5.95 mix and match deal. Any combination of 5 regular roast beef.
I told you she had a boyfriend.
The Hyundai Tiburon with America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. When you can be counted on, you win.
Hurry into the Hyundai winning season clearance and get $1,000 cash back or 0% APR.
It's a whole new experience. You get things done real fast and real quick.
I go to search and then go to internet and bang, I'm there.
Dial-up was slow, unreliable. Half the time it didn't even connect.
I'm on and off in probably 40 minutes before I was waiting 40 minutes to get on.
It was very easy to get, and the guys that hooked it up were great, and just can't go wrong. Everyone needs Roadrunner right now. You got to get it. You have to. It's so fast and easy, I can't go wrong.
Solino and Barnes. Our success is the difference.
I've just received word that the RG&E press conference that was going to happen in about another 1 minute, right at 10 o'clock, that has been postponed. We will bring that to you live as soon as that takes place. And we have just received an update from Monroe County officials at the Emergency Operations Center. Jennifer Johnson is there on Scottsville Road. She joins us live with the very latest. Jennifer, what can you tell us?
Sorry, Brian, we're having a little bit of a mechanical problem here, but we want to tell you the latest. That is, the state of emergency will be lifted in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's good for everyone trying to get out to work, also trying to get out to the PGA. Again, when that state of emergency ends, that means that travel advisory will be over. Officials here have been talking to PGA officials. They say that play will resume as normal tomorrow morning. The shuttles will begin at 6 o'clock. We also want to talk about some shelters that have been opened up, but only for a very few select people. It is for people who need electricity to power their medical equipment. We're talking about oxygen tanks and things like that. These shelters are only for those people. We want to give you 2 addresses that the county has given us. One, the Carter Street Recreation Center at 500 Carter Street. Also, Penfield Ambulance at 1585 Jackson Road. Again, these are just for people who need power to power up their medical equipment. Everybody else will be turned away. These shelters will not be providing bedding or food at all. We also want to talk to the latest to you on the power situation, and as we do that, I'm going to ask my photographer, Joe, to zoom in onto the building behind me. There are all sorts of officials working on this behind me. Again, Joe, my photographer, if he could zoom in behind me and show you all the work that's being done behind me as we try to get power restored. We can tell you that 2/3 of the county is still out. Of course, that means 1/3 is on. Now, all New York power plants were shut down, including Gannett, by a group called the New York Independent System Operator. That group is in Albany. They oversee all New York power plants and power agencies like RG&E and NYSEG. Now, the Independent System Operator has begun a plan that is slowly turning the power back on across the state. Now, we spoke with Dennis Wickham, who is the Chief Operating Officer for RG&E and NYSEG. He says that they have not received orders to restore power in Rochester yet. Restoration in other parts of the state has begun. Now, once Rochester does get permission to restore, it will take a couple of hours. We also said Wickham said that they have to follow the independent system operator's directions for restoration, that they can not defy those orders, there could be quite a problem with restoring power. Again, once power is restored, it sounds like it should take hours and not days, so that's some good news. We also want to say, while we wait for power to turn back on, if you had any of your air conditioners going before the power went out, you should turn all of those off. That way, when power comes back on, there isn't another major demand for power, which could cause some more problems, so turn all of those air conditioners off. Last thing, we did ask Dennis Wickham from RG&E and NYSEG if they have to figure out what went wrong before they can fix the problem. He said no. Figuring out what went wrong could take weeks, months, and even years. Reporting live at Scottsville Road, Jennifer Johnson, News 10, NBC.
Some good information from Jennifer.
Very good.
Thank you very much. This just in from the Wayne County Emergency Management Office. During this power outage, the Wayne County chapter of the American Red Cross has opened a shelter, and it's located at the Savannah Fire Department. It's for those of you who need a place to go because you need relief from the heat or you have no water. You're asked to bring everything that you will need, things like blankets, sleeping bags, pillows, change of clothing, etc. But again, the Wayne County chapter of the American Red Cross is opening a shelter tonight. It's at the Savannah Fire Department.
Okay.
And coming up, we're going to have the latest information about flights in and out of the Rochester International Airport. Some people may want to just get away.
Yeah, I would think. Plus, Governor Pataki reacts to today's massive power outage. Stay with us.
Buying an SUV? Here's one piece of advice. Yep, that's one piece. We designed Nissan Pathfinder as one single structure bound by 4,200 precision welds. If you want to find a rattle in this SUV, you better bring a baby. Get a $319 per month lease on new 2003 Nissan Pathfinders at your Nissan dealers. Strong.
The nation's top critics are hailing it. Millions of people are cheering it. Have you seen the summer's best movie? From producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Gore Verbinski, Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom, Pirates of the Caribbean, rated PG-13, now playing.
Shop Clover's gigantic birthday celebration. Buy now with no payment, no interest for 1 full year. Plus, get up to 40, even 70% off. Pool tables, bars, and bar stools. Outdoor casual furniture. Plus, buy now with no payment, no interest for 1 full year. Only at Clover.
Just be yourself. You'll do fine. When we first met,
Hi.
I knew there was something special about him.
For a while.
But today,
It's all right with you. I'd like to take you both to Friendly's.
I'd see just how special.
Friendly's Chicken Choices, our country club chicken sandwich, barbecue chicken platter, or our new Oriental chicken wrap. Now try any of our chicken choices and get a hot fudge sundae free.
Mom, I like our new friend. You and me and Friendly's.
This blackout has left pockets of power in the area. We want to show you what things look like in the Webster-Penfield area earlier this afternoon. Traffic lights throughout that part of the community. Those traffic lights out. For the most part, traffic moved smoothly and slowly. A sign at Charlie Rydell's restaurant tells the story. You saw it. Business closed and employees were sent home. That was the case at the Baytown Plaza Walmart. Managers closed that store. Other stores throughout the plaza closed. Some workers, though, weren't too happy about getting to go home early.
I'm very upset, yes, and I'm very upset. Why? Because I'm missing about 7 hours today and not getting paid for it either. I'm pretty ticked off.
We should point out that the area malls also closed. That's Eastview, the mall in Henrietta and the one Marketplace and the one in Greece. Now, what about air travel? Well, we checked with the folks at the Rochester International Airport just a few minutes ago, and we are told tonight that all flights are operating both in and out. That's arrivals and departures. But at one point late this afternoon, departing flights at the Rochester International Airport were canceled. A spokesman says the airport's backup generator quit for some unexplained reason. The terminal was thrown into the dark. The two major security areas were closed with gates blocking the way to the concourses. The FAA tower was operating and arriving planes were allowed to land, but no passengers were allowed to board departing flights.
Yeah, it is a major inconvenience. I'm trying to get back for a walk tomorrow someplace else, and who knows if I'll be able to get there or not.
What are you going to do about it? Exactly. If they had flights going out, I'm sure they'd like to make more money.
I had a flight out at 6:45, though I made a hotel reservation, and they told me not to cancel it. Going to Cincinnati, and power's out there as well, so I'll be keeping the hotel.
Again, tonight we're told all flights are operating. If you have any questions, you should call the airport directly.
And along with that, Walmart that we reported had to close. Some local grocery stores without power also had to shut down today. The Wegmans on East Avenue closed right after the power outage. They were turning people away when we stopped by. We caught up with a Wegmans employee who described what it was like inside the store when the power first went out.
Just customers everywhere, just try to get all the customers out as soon as possible. Just all the lights turned off, but the registers were still working, so we got the customers out that were in there and just waiting now for the power to come back on.
We caught up with some other people who told us what they experienced when the power went out.
Well, my manager was chopping up something with the machine, and then the power went out. He thought he did something wrong, so someone came out to the street and said that, well, the power's out on the whole street. So the restaurant basically had to close down.
I was just wondering why it happened like this. It's such a weird hour too, when everybody's trying to go to work for night and come home.
Now, the governor addressed the state residents in the state earlier this evening. He wants to reassure New Yorkers that the government and police departments are doing everything they can to keep people safe. Here's what he said earlier this evening.
I think it's important that the people of New York know that all government levels are working closely together to make sure that power is restored as quickly as possible. There are no unmet needs from any communities at this point, and the state and the localities are prepared to respond to any needs.
Now, not many stores are open because of this power outage.
Yeah, there was a mad dash at Tops Market on Winton Avenue. Coming up, we'll talk to local shoppers and show you what they're running out to buy.
Oh, honey, the baby's kicking.
Honey, that's not kicking, that's Morse code. Dee. Baby needs Wendy's bacon mushroom melt? Hold on. I'll be right back, little man!
When you gotta have that bacon and mushrooms in a delicious cheddar sauce, you gotta have it.
What? Baby wants a flat screen TV? Me too.
Wendy's bacon mushroom melt, it's better here. And our pickup window's open till midnight or later, so you can eat great even late.
It's clearance time on the biggest selection of Toyota cars.
Simply no better place in the world to do business. So give us a call.
Raymore and Flanagan Furniture announces their lowest prices of the season.
This price has got to be a mistake.
No, everything's on sale.
Shh, let's buy it now.
Now through Monday, everything is on sale, including famous brand names.
Here's another goof up. Don't attract attention. It can't get any better.
Wrong. They give 3-day delivery and interest-free financing.
We'll save a bundle. They don't know who they're dealing with.
I'm not sure I do. Enjoy the lowest prices of the season, now through 9 p.m. Monday at Raymore and Flanagan.
Have you been thinking about a new Toyota Highlander? Now is the time to buy, and Dorschel is the place. We've got more Highlanders than we can handle. They have got to go. So we've priced them low, starting as low as $27,997. That's right, a new Toyota Highlander V6 4x4 with moonroof, power windows, locks, and seat, roof rack, spoiler, and more is just $27,997. If you'd rather lease it, you can have it for just $379 a month. At Dorschel Toyota, stop out today and say, it's guaranteed.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
What are we gonna say?
Atomic Commando 3.
Well, Mr. White Chocolate Macadamia Nut here says we're seeing tears from the heart. And his associate, Mr. Double Chocolate Fudge, says you're gonna like it.
I'll get the tickets.
Ah, the power of Tim Hortons Oven Fresh cookies. Baked throughout the day so they're always soft and chewy. Enjoy any 6, just $1.79. And remember, our drive-thru is open 24 hours.
Where there was power tonight, you would find people, and nowhere was that more evident than at the Tops grocery store on Winton Road. Berkeley Breen was there. It was a madhouse, you say? You're joining us.
A little bit of a madhouse, that's right. Well, it seemed like Tops on Winton Road was the center of the universe for a while today in Rochester and Monroe County. We mentioned how earlier the Wegmans on East Avenue was closed, and that made Tops one of the only grocery stores in the area open, which made it one of the busiest places around.
Traffic did not stop outside, and it was just as busy inside.
Let's get something we can grill out with.
Okay, because we can't have ice.
Julie Tucker and her family were here to buy what they needed to get through the blackout.
So we decided we'd walk up here and get ice if there was ice available, batteries if there were batteries. We already got our candles out, so they're out and all ready to go.
Julie got everything except for the batteries. For a while today, that was the least of her concern.
My biggest concern was that it was a terrorist attack, but it doesn't seem that way because it's not all over the country.
But isn't that strange that that should be the first thing that came to your mind?
That was the first thing that came to my mind after I found out that it wasn't just our building that was without power, it was the whole city and state, and I got really concerned.
After Julie Tucker checked out, the lines continued. Kip Brown and Nancy Ellison came looking for extra batteries themselves. They say it feels like they've gone back in time.
They've been pretty simple. I mean, we took the grill out, we cooked outside. It's been kind of quiet. I think the thing that we realized that's sort of funny is that, you know, in this world of instant communication, there's nothing. There's no, you know, the radio, the TV, the computers down. It's just a whole different world.
Kip Brown was thinking ahead to his morning coffee.
Yeah, got my coffee. Kind of silly, but that's what we came for.
It'll be brewed on the grill.
Yeah.
Brewed on the grill.
That's the plan.
How do you do that?
That's something he needs to answer. He's the one that's desperate in the morning for coffee, not I.
Little hot water on the grill, you know, get the water going, kind of like a camp stove, you know.
So, blackouts are the necessity of all invention, right?
That's the best kind of coffee, though, campfire coffee.
That's exactly what Kip said. He said that was his only vice, too, so that's what he was there for.
You know, people here in our area have gone through ice storms, we've had wind storms, and usually we are upbeat about it. What was the mood tonight?
Well, we found that, too. We found people were upbeat. You know, courteous to a fault, almost, people stepping out of the way. Now, we should say that that Tops on Winton is a very unique place because they had power for the last ice storm, and they had power tonight. The manager there we talked to, Cheryl, said that she's got some guardian angel looking over top of her, and so it's if you want to buy some lottery tickets, maybe go there. They seem to have something going on.
All right, Berkeley.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Boy.
Well, you know what? To help people cope with the power outage, the Red Cross has opened a cooling shelter for the special needs population. This shelter will be open throughout the night. The shelters are at, listen closely, the Carter Street Recreation Center on Carter Street, the Penfield Ambulance Base, that's at 1585 Jackson Road, and again, the Wayne County chapter of the American Red Cross has a shelter at the Savannah Fire Department for those of you who need a place to go because you need relief from the heat or you have no water.
The power outage is also affecting gas stations. We found one on West Main Street in Rochester. People were filling up gas cans for generators as well as their cars. There were some pretty huge lines there. Some people told us they had to drive all over to try to find a gas station that wasn't mobbed with people.
All the places are flooded for gas, you know, we got to get in line, so we just got to sit here for like 2 hours to get some gas, you know.
I want to make sure I'm filled up for work tomorrow. I'm on E right now. It's time to fill up.
I went to Hamlin, went to Hilton, end up down in the city here, and live up in North Greece.
Talk about people having to go to work tomorrow. At least you have an excuse if you can't get there. You could say, I ran out of gas.
I guess so. It affects in every possible way that you can imagine. It affects your life when you lose power. Yeah, gasoline, everything, you name it. Yep.
Well, things might be looking up. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg says the power is slowly coming back on there.
Yeah, just ahead we will take you to New York City for an update.
You buy the mattress this week at City Mattress, and I'll pay the sales tax. The City Mattress no tax sale. It's on right now.
It's never easy to say goodbye to that old car, but your donation can make a difference in the lives of local kidney patients. Make your car a kidney car.
How do you use the internet? Do you email and bank online? What about homework and instant messaging? Or is downloading music your passion? No matter how you use the internet, FrontierNet is the easy and fast way to get connected. From low-cost dial-up to Rochester's fastest residential connection, DSL Max, FrontierNet lets you choose the connection that's right for you and your budget. Why pay more and get less choice with cable? Call 777-2SURF today and receive 2 months free. FrontierNet, it's your choice.
Welcome to Walmart.
People deserve to have a good experience when they come here to Walmart.
The most important thing about my job is to make the customers happy so they come back to us again.
I think it's because of the people and the service and the respect that you get whenever you come here.
We always got a saying, the customer's number one.
We are nothing without our customers.
You know, I say, can I help you? What I can do for you?
I think we're all that way here.
Without the customer, I think we don't have no Walmart store.
If I can make someone's day a little bit nicer, then I've done my job.
Arby's 5 for $5.95 mix and match deal. Any combination of 5 regular roast beef sandwiches and beef and cheddars for just $5.95. What are you eating today?
Your Dodge dealers have added some huge extras to the great deals at the Dodge Summer Sales Drive now during a special 72-hour event. Get no extra charge lube, oil, and filter changes for 3 to 7 years. Plus, your choice of cash allowances of up to $4,500 and no monthly payments until next year. Or 0% APR financing on select models. Plus, get Dodge's 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. But you'd better get rolling because this 72-hour event ends Monday, August 18th.
This power blackout paralyzed much of New York City. We're going to go to Michelle Franzen in the Big Apple for more on the story from that city.
The massive power outage hit just at the start of the afternoon rush hour. New York City commuters on the streets and in subways found themselves stranded as the city was paralyzed by power loss.
No panic. The passengers were great. No panic. Everybody got out safely.
Federal officials say the outage occurred at one of the major power grids. The outage rippled through parts of the Northeast, Midwest, and Canada. It knocked power out as far away as Detroit, Cleveland, and Toronto and Ottawa. U.S. officials stressed there was no indication terrorism was involved. About 2 hours after the blackout occurred, New York City's mayor said power was beginning to return.
Once all of this shuts down, it is a very complex and time-consuming process that has to be very carefully choreographed to bring it back up. That is starting to take place. It is very encouraging.
Air traffic controllers at affected airports went to back up power. Most departing flights were halted. Some inbound flights were landing while others were diverted to outside affected areas. In New York, Michelle Franzen, NBC News.
And we'll have much more coming up.
Rochester's weather can change in the blink of an eye. At the 10 NBC Weather Lab, we're watching meteorologist Kevin Williams, weeknights at 5, 6, and 11.
It's the Jeep Summer Sales Drive and Patrick's final month of his end of the model year closeout. Save on all our remaining 03 Jeeps. Check out all our Jeep incentives. Plus, learn about Patrick's exclusive programs at PatrickAutoDeals.com. Then you'll know why Patrick sells the most Jeeps year after year after year. Patrick's end of model year Jeep closeout. Only in a Jeep. Patrick, next to Marketplace Mall.
We sell excitement.
Shop Clover's gigantic birthday celebration. Buy now with no payment, no interest for 1 full year. Plus, get up to 40, even 70% off on over 400 above ground pools. Clearance price from just $388. Save up to 70% off Clover's list price on hundreds of casual furniture sets. Price from $399 and no more than $999. Save on over 200 Cal spas, Viking and hot spring spas too. Choose from 5 models. Clearance price from just $1688 and no more than $2888. Plus, buy now with no payment, no interest for 1 full year. Only at Clover.
Chip code, it's plain to see. You can make a new friend so easily. It's fun to do, let a whale touch you. Friendship code, Marina Land. You can watch them swim in the summer sun. They love to be touched by everyone. Now you know what to do when they swim up to you. Friendship code, Marina Land.
News 10 NBC has Championship Week at Oak Hill covered like no one else. More important stories affecting you and your community. The most complete and accurate weather forecasts, in-depth reports, and the stories behind the scenes. For the best local coverage live from Oak Hill every day of Tournament Week, count on News 10 NBC.
We just want to remind you that there is a state of emergency in effect in Monroe County until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Jennifer Johnson joins us live from Monroe County's Emergency Operations Center on Scottsville Road. What's the latest, Jennifer?
Well, Jane, I apologize if you're asking me any questions. I can't quite hear you, but I can give you the latest. We did talk with Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn a little while ago. He actually has left the building. He's out working again. But before he left, he did say that more Monroe County Sheriff's Department's members are out on the street tonight. He wouldn't get the exact number for us, but he did say that there are definitely more out on the streets. We want to show you why. The power is out on the streets. The streets are very dark. It's making it very difficult for drivers to get around. I know we shot some video earlier in the night. We're seeing it now. We still know that about 575 traffic lights are still out in the city. Obviously, you can imagine if you're coming up to an intersection, you don't see a light, your instinct is probably to drive through. They're saying treat all intersections tonight like four-way stop signs. So drive up to that intersection, stop, take a good look around. Don't just drive on through. You could end up in a pretty serious situation. Again, that is why these sheriff's deputies are being asked to be out there helping direct the traffic. We do want to tell you that the thruway is open, and the good part about that is the gas stations are open. I know many of them around aren't open. The rest stops are open as well. The Jack Doyle said, word to the wise, don't go out and just drive around, because again, if you do, you will be using gas, and if you think your neighborhood gas station is open and it's not, you're out of luck really. But again, those gas stations on the thruway are open. We do want to tell you that the 911 center is up and it is operational. We can tell you that fire stations are back to being 100% as well. The state of emergency is in effect until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Until then, that travel ban is in effect. Again, no unnecessary travel. We do want to show you real quickly a lot of the officials behind us here working, trying to figure out how to make this all work. Again, they have no power to bring this power back on. That's up to some officials in Albany, but they are handling the situation out here. Again, Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn has left for the evening, but again, he was here and he was giving us the latest. I do want to tell you we are on Scottsville Road. Just to the north of us here is the airport. While everything else is dark around here, the one thing that you can clearly see is the MetLife blimp, which is in town for the PGA. It is lit up brilliantly. It's quite an interesting sight, sort of against the vast darkness of just all the darkness out there. So that is sort of one positive thing. The officials here have spoken with some PGA officials, and they do think that things will go on as normal tomorrow, and those sheriff's deputies will be out directing all that traffic. So that is the latest from here. We hope to hear more in just a few minutes. Once we get that, we will bring it to you. Reporting live on Scottsville Road, Jennifer Johnson, News 10 NBC.
All right, Jennifer, thank you very much.
Some good information. She mentioned that there are more sheriff's deputies out tonight. We had talked with the Rochester Police Department earlier tonight, and they brought in officers early as well so that they would have enough manpower on the streets to handle these intersections. You've got to be so very careful.
Yeah, they worked the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. Right. They were asked to come in 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere right around there at that hour. And we're also getting reports as well that power is slowly coming back on depending on where you live. We've gotten reports in Brockport, reports in Holly. Power is slowly being restored, and as the crew said in New York City, it will be hours, not necessarily days, so a little bit of patience, and hopefully you'll be soon getting television and you can tune in and watch us. Well, as we have mentioned, County Executive Jack Doyle is asking that there be no unnecessary travel in Monroe County. We've also learned about a travel advisory in Ontario County.
That's right. The Ontario County Sheriff's Department says there are a large number of lights out in that area, and the entire city of Canandaigua is without power.
Okay. Well, we will be back in a little bit with more local coverage, but now we are going to join MSNBC programming right after this commercial break.
Get back to style, back to school at Kaufman's August sale. Right now, find the hottest looks and save with your extra 15% off shopping pass at the August sale. Only at Kaufman's.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
What are we gonna say?
Atomic Commando 3.
Well, Mr. White Chocolate Macadamia Nut here says we're seeing tears from the heart. And his associate, Mr. Double Chocolate Fudge, says you're gonna like it.
I'll get the tickets.
Ah, the power of Tim Hortons Oven Fresh cookies. Baked throughout the day so they're always soft and chewy. Enjoy any 6, just $1.79. And remember, our drive-thru is open 24 hours.
You know, nothing speaks like the truth. I've said it before. You can't stack cars. You know, other businesses, they get too much stuff in, they just stack them higher. Well, you can't stack cars. Honda sent us 600 cars. We have trucks on the thruway as we speak and no place to put them. You know, what's the difference between an 03 and an 04? Nothing. You will get the absolute best price on a Honda now.
Reach for America's best at Chase Pitkin. Thompson's Water Seal protects concrete, wood, and brick. Buy the bonus gallon. Get 25% free, just $6.88.
Driveway sealing, unbelievably easy.
Save with Chase Pitkin's own driveway sealer. Features an easy stir premium rubberized formula. Gas and oil resistant. Just $7.94 with your Shoppers Club card. Products that protect, always right at home at Chase Pitkin.
Get back to style, back to school at Kaufman's August sale. Right now, walk away with major savings with your extra 15% off shopping pass at the August sale. Only at Kaufman's.
It didn't. You had one precinct overloaded, other precincts short, and there was no means of getting people from one area to another. That was number one. Number two, here's the interesting part. I worked in Bronx Narcotics, so they must have known the Bronx Narcotics guys. They sent us to Brooklyn. We didn't know anything about Brooklyn. They took the Brooklyn Narcotics guys, sent them to the Bronx. It was a mess for about 24 hours. Now it's pretty scientific. Everything's computerized. You have that card in your wallet that tells you where to report. And so in the Bronx, you're going to go to the 4-8, the borough office. They now have vans set up to get people to different locations. Much more sophisticated, much more orderly.
So that card is a required piece of equipment that every New York City police officer, uniformed or plainclothes, carries with them.
And civilians. It's called the Rapid Mobilization Card. Yeah. And civilians, certain civilians.
Thanks for the memories, John.
And John, we also look around at New York City and businesses. They all have the ubiquitous steel gate. Was that something that came after 1977?
There was some before, but clearly after 1977, there was a lot of looting. And one of the things, Lester, I would look out for tonight, I'm sure the NYPD is aware of it, particularly small store owners, the bodega owners, the luncheonettes in the Bronx and South Brooklyn, they're going to stay in their businesses overnight. And I guarantee you a lot of them, almost all of them will be armed, whether it's legal or not. They're going to be armed, and they're going to protect their turf. And God forbid something happens, then you see shootings that are just kind of a bad scene. But right now, things look pretty good for the first 2 hours of darkness. But let's see what happens as we move into the night, because it's too hot to go to your apartment. And so there are quite literally, throughout the neighborhoods of New York City, there are thousands of kids hanging out in the stoops. And usually what happens, it may start off as a bit of a prank by teenagers, as they did in the Bronx, where they stole some cars from the car dealerships on Jerome Avenue, and then it just kind of spins out of control.
And in terms of the crowd psychology and dealing in a situation like this, the lights are out, people are hot. As a policeman, do you pull back a little bit? Do you have to play a little bit more the diplomat?
No, I think that's a mistake. I think what you've got to do is be at strategic locations, and there are no free passes.
Shop spree, thousands of possibilities. Get yours.
Gary, it's time I taught you something every man should know. How to eat an Oreo cookie. Twist it off. Just give it a lick. Now you just learn to tie your shoelaces and you'll be all set.
Only Oreo.
Medical news from Centrum. A report in a leading medical journal recommends a multivitamin for all adults to help reduce the risk of heart disease and cancer. And the brand recommended most by doctors? Centrum. Always complete from A to Z.
If you're buying or selling a home in this market, tap the power of Prudential Real Estate. Backed by a name trusted for more than 125 years, the Prudential Real Estate Network can get you moving. With more than 44,000 real estate sales professionals you can rely on in offices across North America. Each day, we're helping to bring thousands of buyers and sellers together. Call today and find out why millions of people are sold on Prudential Real Estate.
What time is it? Subaru all-wheel drive time. Time to get it all. Up to $2,000 in customer cash rebates depending on model, and financing as low as 0% APR. Time to get incredible savings on an incredible all-wheel drive 2003 Outback, Legacy, or Baja. That's up to $2,000 in customer cash rebates and 0% financing. Hurry to Subaru all-wheel drive time now, because time runs out September 2nd.
We see an architect. A 23-city tour. The next big idea. We stand in awe of you and your creative potential. It's what inspires us to create software that helps you reach it.
We're blonde. We're brunette. Our hair is straight and curly. And for millions of us. It's thinning. Mostly because of heredity. Women's Rogaine can help. Help. It has the only FDA-approved ingredient proven to regrow hair in women. The sooner you start using Rogaine, the better Rogaine works. So take the first step at the first sign of thinning hair. And know in your fight, you are not alone. You're not alone. Rogaine works. The sooner, the better.
This Sunday, Explorer goes ultimate. More powerful pictures, more personal stories. Join Lisa Lane for Ultimate Explorer, Sundays at 8 on MSNBC. Ultimate Explorer on MSNBC.
One thing I think I can say for certain is that this was not a terrorist act. I've heard reports about a lightning strike in Niagara Falls, New York, and federal officials, of course, are investigating the veracity of that. We'll find out here what caused the blackout.
That was the president speaking about 9 o'clock this evening, and that lightning strike has since been dismissed, and they're still trying to figure out what caused the lights to go out. But the president making the point that certainly crossed a lot of minds. Could it have been a terrorist attack? The answer, no. They do believe it was a mechanical failure that rippled across the grid, as it's known, and caused the lights to go out in several major cities. It all happened around rush hour along the East Coast, and that rush hour for many folks continues here past 10 o'clock at night. NBC's Rahema Ellis has been at the foot of New York's 59th Street Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge. Rahema, what's it like there right about now?
It is calming down a little bit, Brian, but just when I say that, we get another wave of cars coming through this area. But I can tell you what makes me think things are getting a little bit better is that some 30 or 40 traffic cadets, they were in training, that were dispatched to this area. They've been bussed out of here because they've pretty much gotten the pedestrian traffic under control. They've gotten people off the street and onto the sidewalk. So it's some element of control here. The word on this corner is like it's been through most of the city tonight, and that is there is a very friendly atmosphere here. People are helping people, strangers helping strangers. We have seen folks just stop their cars, those who've had vans, and open the back of the van and let just as many people who could get into the truck get in to make their way across this very dark 59th Street Bridge going into Queens. I must tell you that people are also saying how much they are relieved, and that's why they can have this sort of a relaxed atmosphere out here. But as one man said to me, there's also some concern, which is the thing that you've been talking about and some politicians. He said, how can you be ready for a terrorist attack and you're not even ready for a blackout? The point that he was making is that it's now some 6 hours and the lights still are out here in Manhattan. And it's the kind of thing that he would think that officials would have a better handle on. We should say again, though, the police who were dispatched to this area and through several areas around the city, they seem to have done a very good job. There still were reports, however, of some people who had spent some 2 or 3 hours stuck in the subways, some who were still caught in elevators and buildings and some of these high-rise buildings trying to get them out. And they've dispatched fire department personnel there, EMTs and police to those various places to try to get those people out. But for the most part, many people just came out and got on foot to make their way home. Women taking off their shoes, walking 50, 60 blocks, adding up to some 5 or 6 miles to get home. And then it's compounded after that because they've got to get up to these high-rise buildings. Several people told me they have to climb up some 25 or 30 flights of steps because the elevator service is out. So it's making it kind of difficult, but people are really taking it in stride. Lester?
All right, Rahema Ellis in New York City. Rahema, thanks very much. We want to go on the MSNBC Live line now. We're joined by the governor of Pennsylvania, Ed Rendell. And Governor, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Saw you this morning.
Yeah, it's been a long day for a lot of us.
Bet it has.
I understand your state was largely spared, but there were some areas that lost power. Is that
Largely
correct?
spared. 6 counties in the northwest area, across from Cleveland and Buffalo, went out, in 2 counties near New York City, up at the northeastern tip, Pike and Bradford, went out. About 100,000 Pennsylvanians went out. We lost about 400 megawatts of power. Good news is about 300 megawatts of power are back, so we've got probably about 35,000 people still without power, and no major problems at any of the hospitals. We have several nuclear plants, no problems at any nuclear plant in Pennsylvania at all.
Well, Governor, we all take it for granted when we flip on the light switch, the lights come on. And I guess one of the things we take for granted is that belief that someone would make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen, that one problem doesn't cascade around the East.
Well, you know, I heard what Rahema was saying, that people said to her, how can this happen? I think our grid system nationally does an awfully good job. I mean, think about this. The last major blackout was in '77, and the big blackout that was almost of this dimension, or not quite, about 3/5 of this dimension, was in the '60s. That's a pretty good record. And for example, the grid system worked very well in the rest of Pennsylvania. It automatically isolated these power surges that were coming in and causing the blackouts, which is why Philadelphia didn't go down and Harrisburg didn't go down, and most of the 12.5 million people in Pennsylvania didn't get hit. So I beg to differ a little bit. I think when you think it's been 25 years or 26 years since the last one, we do a pretty good job. And again, none of these people work for me, so I'm not being defensive.
And Governor, let me run this past you. As we were speaking, a story just crossed the wire, and it references the Prime Minister's office in Canada, which had earlier suggested the cause had been a lightning strike at a plant in New York. Well, now they're saying that the cause seems to be, I'm trying to read through as I talk to you, a severe outage at a Pennsylvania nuclear power plant. That was the cause. Have you heard anything about that?
No, and I just spoke to my head of PEMA, Dave Sanko, and he told me that there was this rumor in Canada that a Pennsylvania nuclear power plant was on fire, and that's just not true. I mean, flat out not true. And there has been no loss of power at any of our nuclear power plants. What I would suggest to all the officials here is that nobody jump the gun and talk about what caused this until we know for sure.
Did you did you declare a state of emergency?
No, because it was isolated. I happen to be in Erie right now. I was in Erie for an economic development summit tomorrow and for an announcement today. So I had to walk up 6 flights to my hotel room, but that was a small price to pay. And that power's all back in Erie and Erie City, and everything's doing fine.
You're taking this in stride. What about the fallout? What about tomorrow morning when the political debate begins? What's going to happen?
Well, I don't know exactly, Lester, but I would urge people to try to keep this out of blame pointing. It's important to figure out what went wrong, obviously. But again, I go back and say it's been 26 years since we've had any problem. And when you consider the level of power that we consume in the country, and particularly in the Northeast, that's not a bad record. I mean, obviously, whatever happened, the system didn't work because it's supposed to be a rolling system where a power outage is stopped and isolated like it was in most of Pennsylvania, and something didn't happen. We ought to find out about it, but gosh, I would hate to see a whole lot of blame pointing and finger pointing.
Governor Ed Rendell, good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on with us tonight.
Get some rest.
We'll try. Thanks very much. And some reports coming in from some of our affiliates in the affected cities in Cleveland. The streets are said to be quiet. There's no power in Cleveland itself. They're still concerned about water there because the electrical pumping system obviously out. And if it doesn't, the power doesn't come on there soon, officials say the city could run out of water in 2 to 4 hours. And in Detroit, WDIV, our affiliate, reports among the problems they're facing there, gas pumps are not working across the city. city. Again, among those many things that we take for granted, electricity and the many uses we have for it. Energy experts have warned of large-scale blackouts in North America since the early 80s. Is this blackout just a one-time freak incident or the sign of an overloaded power system? We're joined now by Dr. Arjun Makhijani, president of the Institute for Energy and Environmental Research. Dr. Makhijani, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you for asking me.
The president says the electrical grid should be modernized. Where? Where do you start?
Well, that's an awfully vague term. You know, it's very easy to say modernize, but what does it mean? Over the last 10, 15 years, we've had deregulation of generation, and I think overall that's a good thing. But it's like we have a highway system and a lot of people using it, and we're not paying for the highway system. The system operators that are charged with regulating the system don't have any muscle. They can't set reliability standards. They can't charge the people who are selling electricity via the transmission lines.
So where does the accountability lie then when you have so many interconnecting systems?
Well, the accountability should lie with the system operator, but then the system operator should have the authority to be able to charge the people who are using the transmission lines for it, so that we can build up the system, so that we can build distributed grids, so we can build up local generation, so we don't need so many transmission lines. On the other hand, the energy plan that was published in May 2001 calls for a national grid that will have even bigger and more centralized, and I believe more vulnerable transmission systems.
So you think the more you interconnect, the more vulnerable they are?
No, not necessarily. I don't think interconnection is a bad thing, but to have a very centralized grid with very large generating plants supplying everything through a few corridors is obviously vulnerable. Now in the Northeast, for example, there's one very major DC line that comes from Canada down into the Boston, New England area. There's two other lines that come from Canada. In the 1965, during the blackout, there was a single relay that took out one transmission line, and there was a cascading failure. Now, I agree with the governor of Pennsylvania that we shouldn't jump to conclusions. I think it's completely premature to say that we should make investments based on what we don't know exactly happened. But certain things have been known that we should invest more in distributed systems. We should have local generation, and we should have more of a mix of generation, and the federal government has been moving in a direction simply to open up wider and wider transmission corridors.
Dr. Makhijani, Jerry Nachman, our editor-in-chief, is here and wants to take part of the discussion.
Just one question, Doctor.
Sure.
What I'm about to say is not 100% true, but it's overwhelmingly true, and that is that most utility companies enjoy a monopoly, albeit a regulated monopoly. Wouldn't it be logical that the quid pro quo for giving a private company a monopoly is plenty of regulation and oversight on the part of the jurisdiction that's awarding that monopoly?
Now, it used to be that way. Utilities used to be regulated monopolies, and they had a fair amount of oversight. And at that point, maybe it was a little more costly than it should have been, but the overall system was very reliable because all pieces of it were regulated, and they all belonged to the same company. Now what we've done is we've actually deregulated generation, so anybody can generate electricity and say, hey, I want my electricity to go by that public wire, but nobody's looking after the commons. It's like saying, I want to graze my cattle on the land, but I'm not really going to pay for the upkeep of the land. And that is what is happening, is the people who are charged with the commons, with the transmission and distribution system, with their spare capacity. Nobody wants to keep spare capacity. Why keep spare capacity if you can make profits on 100% of your capacity? We need that spinning reserve. Somebody's got to pay for that reserve, and we need a backup system where if the bigger picture, the larger grid goes out, you still have fuel cells in large buildings that operate the elevators, that operate the traffic lights, so you don't have this kind of disaster over a whole region where everything breaks down simultaneously.
Well, Dr. Makhijani, were you surprised when you heard what had occurred and how wide it was? Were you surprised, or was there part of you that kind of said, yep, I figured this much?
Well, you know, I think the system is vulnerable. And no, I'm a little bit surprised, you know, at the extent at the extent of it, but those of us who look at the system know that a fully centralized system that is fed from certain points with very large generators and nobody really having the muscle to ensure that the commons, the transmission and distribution system, has enough maintenance and surplus capacity to make sure that if a piece of it goes out, the rest of it won't go down. No, that's not a surprise. I think the engineering community has been, worrying about reliability problems in the context of deregulation for quite some time. I think we need more regulatory muscle and more local generation and more efficiency.
And with that, we'll end. Dr. Arjan Makhijani, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you very much for asking.
I want to let you know it's about 11:15 at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Governor George Pataki of New York is scheduled to hold a news conference. We'll carry that for you live on MSNBC. We'll continue our coverage as the lights slowly twinkle on in many of the affected areas over several hundred square miles of the northeast U.S. and southeastern Canada. We'll be back.
Airport Opportunity Sales Event. You'll find incredible values on all your favorite Lexus vehicles.
Thank you again for being so understanding.
Got an ice chicken?
See your Lexus dealer.
I was on a 300-minute wireless plan. Some months I'd be under by 100. Did I get to pay less? No. Did I get to keep those minutes? No. But if I went over, slammed with a bill almost twice as high. Frustrating? Yeah.
Only Singular lets you roll over unused anytime minutes so you avoid paying overages months you talk more. They're your minutes. Keep them. Singular has rollover on national plans and your choice of cool phones.
I call it they're my minutes, I'm keeping them plan.
Come in to find out how Singular fits you best.
How do you get your dishes virtually spotless without a dish towel? New Dawn Complete. Like Dawn, it cleans grease fast, plus has a powerful rapid rinse formula that fights spots and dries dishes in a flash. Look for New Dawn Complete today. How do you visibly improve your hands? Do the dishes with New Dawn Complete. Loaded with vitamins E and B5, it actually improves the look and feel of your hands in just 4 days. New Dawn Complete. Get done and then some.
Get cash for DVDs at Record.com. We want your DVDs at Record.com. Get cash for DVDs. We want your DVDs. Get cash for DVDs at Record.com.
Need something wrapped, packed, or shipped? Call the Boxman. Family owned and operated. You can count on the Boxman.
To clear away all that junk mail, have a seat, and pass the potatoes. Because the most satisfying meal is the one you share with your family.
Live picture of New York City looking across the Hudson River. This is Lower Manhattan, and you see there are a fair number of lights in the skyscrapers of Lower Manhattan. The city is slowly bringing the lights back on, and we were told it would be a slow process. They're very concerned about damaging equipment and bringing things on slowly. That's why they've been urging residents to turn appliances, turn power-using things off, and only once you see the lights begin to twinkle on in the neighborhood, start to bring them on. Mayor Bloomberg is telling all New Yorkers they're not quite out of the woods yet.
The news continues to be encouraging. Power continues to come on in different sections of the city. There are parts of Brooklyn and parts of Queens that are already back. Bigger parts of the Bronx. Queens is particularly important to us because there's a lot of generating capacity in Queens, which can only get up if Queens is back online. So the more you get out of Queens, the more it helps the rest of the city. We are certainly not out of the woods yet. There are still many people who do not have electricity, which in this day and age and in our modern world really is a burden for them. And our main concern is that they take care and that they don't turn an inconvenience into a tragedy. Common sense is what should rule. Drinking water, it makes a lot of sense. Keeping windows open makes a lot of sense. Checking food in refrigerators and exercising some common sense as to whether perishable items might have spoiled. If you have to make a mistake, err on the side of being cautious. There's no amount of food that is valuable enough to run the risk of a serious food poisoning. So far, let me run down the list of what's been done. All of the subways have been evacuated safely. The Transit Authority, MTA, did a great job along with the police department.
It's Mayor Michael Bloomberg of the city of New York held a news conference about an hour and a half ago, updating the status of trying to bring the lights back up in New York City. The city is going to try to be on a normal footing tomorrow, but Jerry Nachman, that seems like a tall order when you figure a lot of people probably didn't even make it out of the city tonight. Or,
as we speak, are still trying to find their way home. Some people have some long commutes. Mayor Bloomberg of New York had a very practical idea. He said, treat tomorrow, Friday, like a snow day. Get up in the morning, see what the lay of the land is. If it's ugly, go back to bed. He said it's a perfect situation mid-late August for a 3-day weekend. I think a lot of New Yorkers will do that. I think a lot of companies will be very flexible in terms of what their expectations are. And obviously, if the power outage continues through the morning, it'll be academic. People aren't even going to try to go to work under these circumstances.
There's an economic side of this that we really haven't talked much about.
A huge
the restaurants, the
well,
bodegas,
Broadway,
the stores.
Broadway closed last night. Broadway's gross was 0. Restaurants, as you pointed out, now the spoilage issue is happening at supermarkets and bodegas and grocery stores, where the refrigeration, which will work for a while with the door closed, is going to start suffering.
But under health.
I'm ready to make this room my own. And I know just what I need. Light. Texture. Comfort. More comfort. Style. Just perfect.
Contemporary furniture for contemporary people. Get it all at Viking International Furniture. See it first at vikinghome.com.
Chevy Trailblazer and Trailblazer EXT. No brag, just fact. Fact. Unsurpassed standard horsepower in their class. Fact. EXT has more overall interior room than Ford Explorer and Dodge Durango. And here's one more fact you can bank on. Current Chevy owners and lessees get $5,000 total cash back when you purchase a 2003 Chevy Trailblazer or Trailblazer EXT. Get the facts at your local Chevy dealer today.
Digging for answers, reporting them first. This is News 10 NBC at 11.
It is still a dangerous situation in much of the Northeast tonight. A blackout knocked out power in many cities, including Rochester. As you can see, traffic lights are still out in many places. Monroe County remains in a state of emergency tonight. Officials are urging no unnecessary travel until at least early tomorrow morning. Good evening, I'm Janet Lomax.
I am Brian Martin. The Northeast has been crippled by a massive blackout. We are going to cover a lot of ground tonight, looking at what happened and what you need to know.
First, here's a look at where it happened. Rochester is affected, as you know. So are other cities in New York, including New York City, Buffalo, and Syracuse. It has stretched as far as Detroit, Cleveland, and into Canada. Canadian officials are saying it began with a lightning strike at a Niagara Mohawk facility in Niagara Falls, but NYMO is denying that.
We want to get more information now on the state of emergency here in Monroe County. We know Monroe County Executive Jack Doyle and spokespeople from Rochester Gas and Electric are expected to give us an update on this situation.
Jennifer Johnson is on Scottsville Road to give us some information now. Jennifer?
Well, we are awaiting a third press conference from Monroe County Executive Jack Doyle. He's given us 2 updates throughout the night, and we are expecting a third in just a few minutes. At 11 o'clock, we will bring that to you. In the meantime, though, we want to show you what's happening here at the Emergency Operations Center. We'll zoom in now and show you the room behind us. This is all sorts of officials working on this emergency. They are county, fire, police, and EMS officials, as well as the Department of Transportation, Public Safety, 911, RG&E, and the Red Cross. Now, they are all orchestrating the response to this power outage, they do not have the authority to turn the power back on. That has to come from Albany. We'll get into that in just a second. First, we do want to tell you that 2/3 of the county is still out of power. Only 1/3 has it on. Now again, all New York power plants were shut down, including Gannett, by the New York Independent System Operator. That group is in Albany, and they oversee all the New York power plants and power agencies like RG&E and NYSEG. Now, the Independent System Operator has begun a plan that is slowly turning the power back on across the state. We spoke with Dennis Wickham, who is the Chief Operating Officer for RG&E and NYSEG. He says they have not received orders yet to restore power back to Rochester, but restoration has started in other parts of the state. He says they do have to follow the Independent System Operator's directions for restoration. If they don't, we could have all sorts of things happen from another blowout, and of course that's the last thing that we want. But for his guess as for how long the power will take to once we get it back on, he says it will take hours once we get that call, but he also says when that call should come, he doesn't know, but he's guessing it should be in hours rather than days. Again, we are waiting for a press conference from Monroe County Executive Jack Doyle. We are hearing that should happen at 11. We will bring that to you live. In the meantime, let's throw it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. You know, with so many traffic lights out, driving really can be dangerous. County Executive Jack Doyle is asking that there be no unnecessary travel in Monroe County.
Yeah, we have also learned about a travel advisory in Ontario County. The Ontario County Sheriff's Department says there are a large number of lights out in that area, and that the entire city of Canandaigua is also without power. There is also a no unnecessary travel advisory in Livingston County.
Now, if you do have power, you're lucky. You're also being asked to conserve energy tonight. That means turn off any unnecessary electrical appliances. Don't run your air conditioner all night. Keep an emergency kit nearby with the following items inside: flashlight, batteries, a portable radio, or portable TV. The Red Cross is also urging families to come up with an emergency plan and a meeting place. Now, the Red Cross has a cooling shelter set up for people in the special needs population. This is for people who need power for their medical equipment only. It is at the Carter Street Recreation Center. That's at 500 Carter Street. A similar shelter is set up at the Penfield Ambulance Base. That's located at 1585 Jackson Road in Penfield. And if you live in Wayne County, a cooling shelter has been set up at the Savannah Fire Department. All local hospitals are open, and they are accepting emergency cases. Earlier tonight, there was some concern that Park Ridge Hospital in Greece lost its backup power. Well, medical reporter Robin DeWin is here with more on that.
Well, Janet, we were out there tonight. Full power is back on at Park Ridge Hospital, but there certainly were a few tense moments there earlier tonight. All of the lights went out at the hospital for a second time after a backup generator failed. When the power went out across the area this afternoon, Park Ridge Hospital's emergency backup generator went on. But an hour later, that generator failed. A spokesperson says it's still unclear why at this point that it failed. During the time, there was no power. No patients were in the operating room, and there was no one on a ventilator. Patients were cared for. RG&E worked with the Water Authority to bring in another generator, but before that generator arrived, the backup power came back on.
The emergency generator did fail for a short period of time, but that is now back up online. And again, we're operating all of the necessary patient telemetry, cardiac monitoring, all that kind of thing. Our patients are safe.
And while we were there, we didn't see anyone that was panicked. The hospital was operating. Everyone was working to maintain patient care and to keep things calm. Again, Park Ridge is accepting emergency patients. Strong, Highland, and Rochester General Hospitals did not lose power. They did experience a brownout for a period of about 5 minutes, but they are operating as well. But they are asking you that you only go to the hospital, again, for emergency purposes.
All right, Robin, thank you very much.
All right, can you fly in or out of Rochester's airport? As of now, all flights are happening. That's arrivals and departures. At one point late this afternoon, departing flights at the Rochester International Airport were canceled. A spokesman says the airport's backup generator quit for some unexplained reason. The terminal went dark. The two major security areas were closed with gates blocking the way to the concourses. All right, we're told Jack Doyle is now speaking. We're going to go to him live.
Our residents to refrain from any unnecessary travel because these intersections are dark. It's very difficult sometimes to ascertain where they're located, and they do create a real danger. We will be here at the Emergency Operations Center through the night to continually evaluate the situation and to determine if there will be a need to reinstate the state of emergency once we lift it at 6 a.m. We hope that that will not be necessary. We seem to be getting good news from the power grid people, and we're going to have RG&E talk about that in just a moment. For those residents who are using generators, we want to make sure, again, to remind them to use the generator outside, not to have it in their garage or in their basement. It must be outside in a well-ventilated area. We are also asking residents to be very careful about the disposal and to dispose properly of spoiled foods that may have gone bad in their refrigerators. Perishable foods stored in refrigerators will stay cold for 4 to 6 hours. But after that time, after 4 to 6 hours, residents should dispose of foods still in their refrigerators. The foods that can be excluded from that are butter, margarine, hard cheese, fresh fruit, vegetables, fruit juices, dried fruits, fresh herbs and spices, vinegar-based salad dressings, peanut butter, jelly, relish, that sort of thing. All other food should be disposed of after 4 to 6 hours. Obviously, we're concerned about food poisoning and something the health director is advising us about. Food in a full freezer will stay frozen for 2 days, a half-full freezer for about 1 day. After these times, residents should dispose of items in their freezer. The rule of thumb Dr. Doniger tells us is this: when in doubt, throw it out. So I think that's a good rule of thumb for all of us to go by. As I said, we do have fairly good news that seems to be coming out of the ISO in Albany and the power grid restoration. And we'll ask RG&E if they'd come on up here, and Dennis Wickham will tell us about that. Dennis, please.
Thanks. Just a reminder again that, you know, this kind of outage is different than a typical ice storm. When this comes back, customers will be coming back in relatively large quantities of customers coming back, as opposed to individual customers that you would see in an ice storm. And again, just a reminder that it's critical that we get as many appliances unplugged as we can for this restoration process. But we, I think, have had some good news from the ISO. The ISO has directed us to restore some customers, and we are in the process of restoring customers, and I think this is a sign of hopefully things to come, and hopefully we'll be able to pick up some more customers as we get these restored. And you're probably going to ask me how many customers. The ISO has given us the okay to restore in electrical terms 75 megawatts, which is about this time of night probably about 40,000 customers, somewhere between 35 and 40,000 customers. So that's the number of customers that we're looking at this point.
How does that compare to the?
Okay, we just got it for another 100 megawatts restoration. So again, that 100 now will translate to about 50,000 more in addition to the 35 to 40,000. So probably somewhere between 80 and 100,000 customers. We just got the okay to restore. So
who would these customers be?
They will be picked based on the directions received from the ISO as to which circuits need to be restored and which substations need to be restored.
So percentage-wise, what are we looking at in terms of what people will now have power?
I would guess that's probably, I think probably about a third of the customers that were still out should be coming back soon.
But do they prioritize in terms of the hospital here? Or?
No, the independent system operator will basically be looking at the system conditions to restore the substations, and you know they will do it based on a prescribed process that they have, and based on a prescribed procedure that they will have, such that they don't, if they bring back something incorrectly, they run the risk of losing another part of the system. So they have a prescribed process that they will use to bring it back, and they will follow that.
Does that mean Gannett is back on?
Gannett is not back on.
Does Gannett take 2 days to power back up?
Well, I think, again, I think that question's been asked, and I'm sure I think I've probably not answered that question before. I think it's going to depend on a little bit how long Gannett is out before we start repowering it and those kind of things. But I think it will take, again, it'll take at least 24 hours to bring it back.
Is this something where you could restore people by tomorrow morning, or is that too optimistic?
Again, based on just getting another 100 megawatts, you know, we'll continue to take direction from the ISO and see how quickly it goes. I think it's a function of how quick the process can go and making sure we don't set ourselves back to getting it restored.
Okay, I think that's very good news, and I think we're very pleased about that. As I told you before, we have been in contact with the PGA, and the PGA, we're waiting to see what we were recommending and going to say, and they acted accordingly, and they've issued out their own press release, I believe, that the play will continue tomorrow. Their shuttles will start at 6 a.m. after we lift the state of emergency, and hopefully we'll all have power tomorrow and we'll have a good game of golf. The remaining aspects of the community, I think, are everything. We have no reports of any problems. Everything seems to be going okay. We don't have any incidents as far as we know, and so everything is pretty positive. I think that demonstrates that the community reacts well and in a very disciplined way.
People following the travel ban, as far as you know?
As far as we know, I think we've been getting good cooperation. We have not had any reports of any accidents, to my knowledge, since about 6 p.m. tonight. So I think that's very good news also. Okay, anybody else have anything? If not, thank you all very much. We'll see you in the morning.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I got my number.
That was County Executive Jack Doyle speaking tonight just moments ago. Obviously live, we carried it. RG&E just received a restoration of 100 megawatts of power that allows 80 to 100,000 customers to soon receive power once again. So good news for those of you being very patient and waiting for that. That is now 1/3 of the customers out that will soon receive power. Janet?
Well, we have reports that many streets presented real dangers once that blackout happened, and it happened just before rush hour with commuters going through intersections with traffic lights that were out. And there were many calls for accidents. In one, a car and a camper crashed into each other at the corner of Ames Street and West Avenue. The stoplight there was out. One woman was taken to the hospital, and 2 people went to the hospital after an accident at the intersection of Lexington Avenue and Mount Read Boulevard. Firefighters tell us that the SUV hit the car and then flipped over a couple of times. The traffic lights were out there too.
They're bound to happen. It's just going to be a lot scarier when it gets to be dark, once we have no traffic control. Law states pretty much clear that, you know, we don't have traffic control in an intersection like that and the lights are out, that everybody come to a 4-way stop. Pretty obviously here that somebody didn't.
And firefighters tell us there were no serious injuries.
And remember, this is the law. When the lights do not work at an intersection, as he just said, it turns into a 4-way stop. The driver on the right has the right of way. That was an important rule to know on Rochester streets this afternoon. Look at the traffic near the corner of East Avenue and Winton Road. Now, the blackout turned out the traffic lights and turned one of the busiest corners in the city into a parking lot.
Well, it was crazy. I mean, you'd stop, one car would go, sometimes 2 would go. We went by a couple of police officers. Nobody seemed to really take any concern. They went through the lights just like we did.
The driving is actually not too bad. People are being really polite, taking turns, letting each other go.
Rochester police are doing traffic patrol tonight at what they call critical intersections. Police say drivers just need a little extra patience.
Some people were making a mad dash for places that had power. We found that especially true at the Tops grocery store on Winton Road. Berkeley Breen was in the middle of that crowd tonight. He joins us live in our newsroom with more. Berkeley?
Janet, it seemed like that Tops on Winton Road was the center of the universe for a while. With the Wegmans on East Avenue closed, Tops was about the only grocery store open in the area. And of course, that made it one of the busiest places around.
Traffic did not stop outside, and it was just as busy inside.
Let's get something we can grill out with. Okay, because we can't have ice.
Julie Tucker and her family were here to buy what they needed to get through the blackout.
So we decided we'd walk up here and get ice if there was ice available, batteries if there were batteries. We already got our candles out, so they're out and all ready to go.
Julie got everything except for the batteries. For a while today, that was the least of her concern.
My biggest concern was that it was a terrorist attack, but it doesn't seem that way because it's not all over the country.
But isn't that strange that that should be the first thing that came to your mind?
That was the first thing that came to my mind after I found out that it wasn't just our building that was without power, it was the whole city and state, and I got really concerned.
After Julie Tucker checked out, the lines continued. Kip Brown and Nancy Ellison came looking for extra batteries themselves. They say it feels like they've gone back in time.
They've been pretty simple. I mean, we took the grill out, we cooked outside. It's been kind of quiet. I think the thing that we realized that's sort of funny is that, you know, in this world of instant communication, there's nothing. There's no, you know, the radio, the TV, the computers down. It's just a whole different world.
Kip Brown was thinking ahead to his morning coffee.
Yeah, got my coffee. Kind of silly, but that's what we came
It'll be brewed
for.
on the grill.
Yeah.
Brewed on the grill.
That's the plan.
How do you do that?
That's something he needs to answer. He's the one that's desperate in the morning for coffee, not I.
Little hot water on the grill, you know, get the water going, kind of like a camp stove, you know.
Well, we'll see how that goes for Kip Brown tomorrow morning. Now, the manager of Tops says the store never lost power in this blackout, didn't lose power in the ice storm of 2003. The manager says there's some guardian angel looking over that store. Reporting live in the newsroom, Berkeley Breen, News 10 NBC.
And we have told you that the power outage has affected much of the Northeast, including parts of Canada. Let's look back now at how it all started and what the latest conditions are throughout the Northeast. Here's NBC's Michelle Franzen.
Darkness prevailed over New York City's skyline after a power outage brought the Big Apple to a halt. The city's mayor says it is a problem that will take hours to fix.
We are certainly not out of the woods yet. There are still many people who do not have electricity, which in this day and age in our modern world really is a burden for them.
The blackout struck at the height of the evening commute. It stranded people at airports and subways and on the streets.
Yeah, what can you do? Take your time.
It's New York. That's it. You gotta grin and bear it when you come into work here.
Get home. Many strangers became carpool buddies for a New York moment. Thousands of others piled onto ferry boats, and still more went home on foot.
How much can a person walk?
The massive power outage stretched from New York and the Northeast to areas of the Midwest and even Canada. Authorities say it appears lightning may have struck a major power grid. In San Diego, President Bush told reporters that all indications so far point to an accident.
One thing I think I can say for certain is that this was not a terrorist act.
Encouraging words for New Yorkers not used to living in the dark. In New York, Michelle Franzen, NBC News.
Now, earlier in the day, there were several reports that one of the Niagara Mohawk stations up near Niagara Falls had been hit by a bolt of lightning, and we wanted to find out from the one person who would know, at least among us here at Channel 10, whether or not that could have actually happened today.
It's
Kevin.
very interesting.
Yeah.
I heard one news report that the Prime Minister of Canada suggested that a lightning bolt did it in this day in Niagara Falls. And although lightning could have been an issue earlier in the week, perhaps a strike then degrading some kind of service, we don't know, of course. It was clearly not the case today. Look at the satellite image, Brian. This takes us back to this afternoon. Notice, not only was there no lightning over Niagara, not only was there no rain, but there are no clouds. They were all over eastern and southern New York, and they faded too. In fact, it was a gorgeous day, as you know, not only here in Rochester, but throughout western New York and the Finger Lakes. So I can say, based on all the data we saw definitively, that in terms of any lightning strikes in Niagara today, didn't happen. The nearest thunderstorms, in fact, were about 1,000 miles away down near the Gulf Coast. So lightning not a factor as we see it at the falls today.
All right, let's take it the other direction then. Obviously, heat could be a big producer of the generation of electricity with air conditioners and all these other things. Not too hot, though, today.
No, and that's the other issue that's also interesting. Look at the high temperatures today. Oh, yeah, sure, it was a warm day. It's August, after all. Highs were in the 80s and low 90s. But I take you back 1 year ago today. Look at these high temperatures across the region. 97 in Rochester, 101 in Syracuse, the highest temperature ever there. So we're talking about a day that would have brought major blackouts if the weather was the pure issue, and it, of course, did not. So we don't know, of course, what happened. No one can say for sure, but I can say it was not lightning from a strike today, Niagara, and although temperatures could have been a factor, it wasn't that hot a day.
Yeah.
Now, the good news around here, at least, the weather is quiet, so we can look ahead to some good news, and good news for the golfers as well. Let's take a little trip over to the weather wall, and we'll check out the numbers in the almanac. 85 and 65 the split today, and sure, that's a bit above normal, but it's in keeping with what we would expect in August, and there is that impressive record high, 97, just 1 year ago today. In Rochester, now we're looking at starlit skies. The moon is out, 73 degrees. It's a bit muggy out there, and boy, without the AC working tonight for many, it will be a rather stuffy night. The breeze is very light. Check out our weather watchers, and of course, we indicate those weather watchers who are great enough to call in, even though they didn't have power and can't view us this evening. For example, in Webster at 74 and down in Fishers at 66. But the flip side to the power outage, we have some great stargazing opportunities if you're so inclined. This is some video taken by Al Fulton earlier of the nearly full moon. It is a waning full moon, and again, we have the Perseid meteor shower winding up. So with the city streets like South Winton, pretty dark. The urban effect of the air and light pollution, not visible. Tomorrow, though, the air pollution will be a little bit on the increase as southwest breezes transport in tropical air, haze, heat, humidity, a little hotter, a little more humid than today, but it should be rain-free until this front approaches late Friday night and Saturday. That poses a thunderstorm threat that could affect conditions on Saturday if you're heading out to Oak Hill. But if you're heading out to the golf course tomorrow, here's the forecast. I don't think you'll be teed off at the meteorologist. We expect mostly fair days on the fairways. Temperatures will top out, though, on the toasty side. We are looking for a high temperature tomorrow of near 88 degrees. That'll be at around 2-3 p.m. There'll be a little bit of a breeze, but clearly sunscreens and extra liquid, a good idea heading out to the golf course tomorrow. Of course, some folks will choose instead to head to the aerial waterways. Our 11 beautiful Finger Lakes, Lake Ontario, Silver Lake. We got you covered there. The breezes will be light, picking up a bit in the afternoon from the west. Wave heights 1 to 2 feet on the Big Lake and less than a foot on the Finger Lakes. Water temperatures hovering near 70. Northeast temperatures, yeah, it is kind of a stuffy night, upper 70s to mid 80s. So again, without the AC working, it is a little bit tough out there, but high pressure keeps it rain-free. That'll be the story tonight, the story tomorrow as well. Big bubble, no trouble in the weather world. There's the high moving east. Again, southwest breezes, though, in concert with the sunshine, send temperatures toward 90 tomorrow. This cold front brings a thunderstorm threat, pretty good one, I think, Saturday, and a break in the humidity for Sunday and early next week. So the forecast for tonight, a starlit and serene night in. Might add a little darker than usual. Some fog in the valleys late. The low 68 in the metro, 62 in the southern valleys. For tomorrow, hazy sun, steamy heat. Our old pal Zicky and Sticky back in town. Top temp 86 to 90. Your 5-day Thursday. Good bet of a shower or a thunderstorm. Some sun and sticky too. Nicer Sunday to finish up the tournament and gorgeous early next week with some delightful air from Canada. So heat, yes. Extreme, no. But certainly if you're going to spend 8 or 10 hours at the golf course tomorrow, plan on a real steamy one for sure.
Okay. All right, be prepared. Thanks.
Well, all of this happened while Rochester hosted a major event. When we come back, what happened at Oak Hill when the power went out?
And how about all the businesses who open their doors to the PGA fans? Well, they're having to adapt while their guests make do.
News 10 NBC is brought to you by Sage Ready.
And no waiting at the video store. With Roadrunner High-Speed Online, you're always connected. You can download photos and videos up to 50 times faster than dial-up. For a limited time only, get 50% off digital cable, HBO, and Cinemax for 6 months, and get 50% off Roadrunner for 3 months.
News 10 NBC's Triple Doubler is brought to you in conjunction with SUNY College at Rockport, working together to further education through technology and experience.
Raymore & Flanigan Furniture announces their lowest prices of the season.
This price has got to be a mistake.
No, everything's on sale.
Shh, let's buy it now.
Now through Monday, everything is on sale, including famous brand names.
Here's another goof up. Don't attract attention. It can't get any better.
Wrong. They give 3-day delivery and interest-free financing.
We'll save a bundle. They don't know who they're dealing with.
I'm not sure I do.
Enjoy the lowest prices of the season, now through 9 p.m. Monday at Raymore & Flanigan.
Our windows are made so well, they come with a seal of quality. Comfort Windows and Doors, the name you know, the people you trust. Comfort Windows and Doors. Call 235-7839. When quality matters, you'll be siding with us. Comfort Windows and Doors, the name you know, the people you trust. Comfort Windows and Doors. Call 235-7839.
Another rollback. Dares to save you even more. Walmart. Always low prices, always.
Dunn Tire, the lowest total out-the-door pricing guaranteed. 8 Rochester area locations.
Digging for answers, reporting them first. This is News 10 NBC at 11 with Janet Lomax, Brian Martin, Rich Funky Sports, and meteorologist Kevin Williams in the News 10 NBC Weather Lab.
We have more coverage of tonight's power outage, which made for an interesting day everywhere, including the golf course.
Yeah, Rich Funky is still there tonight, and he tells us how what happened affected the PGA. Rich?
Well, Brian and Janet, as you well know, people have been working a long time on this. A lot of business being conducted out here, a lot of folks in from out of town. And, well, you know, they got through it. Minimal impact is what I would say. Over 35,000 spectators were looking forward to heading back to their air-conditioned homes or hotel rooms after a long, hot day in the sun, and they were basically oblivious to what was going on in the Northeast. The players had no idea the power was out until they came in to sign their scorecards in a darkened clubhouse.
No, we had no idea about the power outage out there.
When did you find out?
When we walked in to do our scorecard and I couldn't see.
As for spectators, they were in the dark too.
We had no idea. We've been out here enjoying the day and had no idea.
I was walking from the 9th green up to the clubhouse and walked in, and it was sweltering hot in there. I went to go look at the television, and all the TVs were off.
We have our own power here.
Concession stands remained open with generator power, but the party ended early in some of the corporate chalets. The shuttles ran, but traffic was a mess.
The majority of the traffic lights have been out as we left the golf tournament. It took about twice as long to get where we were going.
The PGA of America issued a statement tonight saying everything would be back to normal tomorrow. The shuttles run at 6 o'clock, the gates open at 6:30 a.m., and play resumes for round 2 at 7:30. The only effect on players, how they sleep tonight, and whether, with those early tee times, they have an alarm clock that works. Brian?
Make sure they get a little room phone call. All right, thanks a lot, Rich. Well, many PGA spectators returned to their hotels, as Rich was saying, to find them without power. Restaurants had no power as well. Kristen Salome is live in the newsroom with more on how those businesses and their guests are coping. Kristen?
Well, Brian, they are doing the best they can. These businesses have been planning on this weekend and all the revenue it will generate for a long time now. So businesses without power are finding creative ways to keep their customers happy. Guests arriving at the Brookwood Inn from the golf course found no air conditioning, but manager Jadwiga Kolodko was there to greet them with flashlights. A backup generator powered only some lights. Golfer Ian Poulter said, no power, no big deal.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll put my head down and get an early night's kit.
In the hotel restaurant, it was dinner by candlelight.
Everyone is really very understanding, and everybody's with such a good sense of humor, and it's very supportive.
And for you, ma'am. At Richardson's Canal House, they made the best of a difficult situation, moving all of their tables outside.
Okay, try and get them here as soon as you can. You know, the daylight. You know, we don't have any power, so.
Luckily, they have a gas-powered grill to cook on. The guests didn't seem to mind at all.
This is our first choice. They've got the best food around town, so.
And with so many guests in town, they didn't want to turn anyone away.
A lot of lost revenue tonight if we couldn't serve tonight. And we have a big staff. We had a big staff here tonight, and it'd be a lot of revenue lost.
At the hotels I checked, no guests had checked out as a result of the power outage. They really wouldn't have any place to go, as virtually every hotel in the area is booked solid for PGA. Reporting live in the newsroom, Kristen Salome, News 10, NBC.
Kristen, that steak on the grill looked delicious.
Didn't it?
Mm-hmm. We'll have a full day from the PGA when we come back.
News 10 NBC is brought to you by Kaufman's.
Get back to style, back to school at Kaufman's August sale. Right now, find the hottest looks and save with your extra 15% off shopping pass at the August sale. Only at Kaufman's.
York Furniture Gallery, your new choice, your total choice. Quality furniture at affordable prices. Complete selection of sofa and love seats, all on sale now. Your total leather store, all on sale now. Bedrooms, entertainment centers, all on sale now. Complete home office center and much more, all on sale now. Buy now and pay with no interest for 1 full year. York Furniture Gallery, 376 Jefferson Road in the Jefferson Plaza. Your new choice, your total choice, York Furniture Gallery.
Freaky Friday is the #1 comedy in America, and critics are freaking out. Ebert and Roper give it 2 thumbs up. It's fantastically funny and one of the best movies of the year. The New York Times cheers Jamie Lee Curtis as a marvel. Entertainment Weekly declares Lindsay Lohan excellent. And USA Today raves Freaky Friday has belly laughs aplenty and is a rollicking good time. It's the biggest surprise of the summer. Disney's Freaky Friday, rated PG, now playing.
You can hear News 10 NBC on the radio every day on WYSL 1040. These broadcasts are made possible by the Randall Farnsworth Auto Group.
Your Dodge dealers have added some huge extras to the great deals at the Dodge Summer Sales Drive now during a special 72-hour event. Get no extra charge lube, oil, and filter changes for 3 to 7 years. Plus, your choice of cash allowances of up to $4,500 and no monthly payments until next year. Or 0% APR financing on select models. Plus, get Dodge's 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. But you'd better get rolling because this 72-hour event ends Monday, August 18th.
It's back by popular demand. The sale that broke all records. The Metro Mattress half-off sale is here with true half-off savings on some of our best sellers. Yes, pay half price for this premium set and save over $1,000 at Metro Mattress, home of Upstate's best Sealy, Simmons, and King Coil selection. Plus, buy now and sleep free for a year and get free express delivery or a free heavy-duty bed frame.
Pay less, get more. Metro Mattress, the sleep superstore. Metro Mattress, the sleep superstore.
Get back to style, back to school at Kaufman's August sale. Right now, walk away with major savings with your extra 15% off shopping pass at the August sale. Only at Kaufman's.
I'm Rich Funky. Welcome back to Oak Hill Country Club. The first round of the 85th PGA Championship is in the books now. Only 21 players shot par or better as Oak Hill gobbled up the game's best today. Tiger Woods had a battle on the East Course today. A bit heavy on the chip behind the 14th. Led to a bogey.
Out-reading times for him, only 5 out of 14.
He had a lot of trouble with his tee-ball today, whether he was hitting driver, 3-wood, iron. He pulled his drive on number 8. And the night and day is more than you'll say. Just follow the day. Follow the day and reach the sun.
Good girl. A groundbreaking study by Purina proves that dogs can live longer, healthier lives.
After all these years, you haven't lost a step, you old hound.
The 14-year study proves that dog chow nutrition, when fed properly over his lifetime, can significantly extend his healthy years.
Okay, last one home buys breakfast.
So he can keep on amazing you year after year.
Gotta be the dog chow.
Incredible dog food, incredible dogs. Purina Dog Chow brand.
I am a school counselor with 2 small children, a 7-year-old, 8.5-month-old. My life is very hectic. The family budget with 2 young ones, it's kind of tight. The Walmart price is a great thing for us. I'm not into clipping coupons. I hate to shop around because I don't have a lot of time. I do not worry about the price at Walmart because it's low every time I go. You save a buck here and there and there, and it adds up. My family, my budget, everything wins that way. Go to Walmart, save money, have money later. Pretty simple. Always listen to your counselor. Best advice you can get.
Car wrecks. Sometimes you can see them coming, but what you won't see are the problems that follow. That's why you need to call us immediately. We're Alexander and Catalano, the heavy hitters. The insurance company has money they're not telling you about. Call 800-LAW-1333 because we can usually get it for you and keep you out of the courtroom. We can't stop a car wreck, but we can make sure that insurance company pays you every dollar you deserve. Injured? Call us, Alexander and Catalano, the heavy hitters.
What's better than 40 to 50% mattress savings? How about instant rebates, too?
Right now, save up to $50 extra when you buy select models of American Signature and Simmons Beauty Rest mattress sets at Value City Furniture.
Plus, get free delivery, free bed frame, free setup, and free removal of your old mattress.
And right now, furnish your child's room with these great bedroom separates, starting at just $19 each.
Huge savings on bedroom furnishings and instant mattress rebates, only at Value City Furniture.
You just can't do any better.
Value City Furniture, Ridge Road in Greece and near Marketplace Mall in Henrietta. You just can't do any better.
Long before the blackout this morning, the Buffalo Bills got in a practice in preparation for Saturday's preseason game against Tennessee. Willis McGahee was dressed and an interested onlooker this morning. Free agent wide receiver Clarence Coleman has impressed thus far, seizing the opportunity when his number has been called.
I just take every practice like it's my last practice, and I really feel that the quarterbacks has confidence in me, and you know, if they help me, I'm gonna help them.
Coleman had 89 yards receiving last week in the preseason win over Baltimore. Andy Pettit and the Yankees at Camden Yards facing the Baltimore Orioles, and New York leading 6-5 in the 7th when Hideki Matsui supplied a game-saving catch in left, robbing Larry Bigby of extra bases. Jorge Posada then added some insurance in the 9th with a 2-run home run, and the Yanks won it 8-5, and there is Posada's 2-run dinger. 8-5 New York tonight. Boston beat Oakland 4-2. Toronto over Seattle in the 5th inning. In the National League, the Giants and Mets were postponed, and Barry Bonds left the Giants today to be with his dad, Bobby, who is suffering from lung cancer. Chicago over Houston 7-1, and Los Angeles over Florida 6-4. The Red Wings picked up a win tonight at Scranton 6-3 as they opened a series against the Red Barons. Tony Fiore won his 9th game of the year. And how about the Rattlers? They won the last one for Guy Van Arsdale, their head coach. They beat Bridgeport 23-18. Casey Powell 8 goals tonight. Guy Van Arsdale would become an assistant coach at the University of Notre Dame next year. That's the story from Oak Hill Country Club. I'm Rich Funky reporting live. Let's go back to the studio.
Very good.
Long day for Rich.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're going to run down a few more important facts about the blackout and the state of emergency when we come back.
Arby's 5 for $5.95 mix and match deal. Any combination of 5 regular roast beef sandwiches and beef and cheddars for just $5.95. What are you eating today?
Determined to grow our business dramatically, we're obsessed with saving you money every day. The result, prices drastically reduced. During our minimum pricing event, over 6,000 examples, and here's just one. This beautiful leather and tapestry sofa with wood nailhead trim, compare at $14.69. Our old price, $10.99. And Ruby Gordon minimum price, now $8.97. Ruby Gordon Furniture's amazing minimum pricing event will save you money. Come in now, West Henrietta Road, because we are Rochester's furniture store.
The Hyundai Elantra, a comparison. More standard features than a Toyota Corolla LE. All for over $1,700 less when comparably equipped. And only the Elantra is protected by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Looks like we have a winner. Test drive the Hyundai Elantra. Nicely equipped for just $12,939. At your Hyundai dealer. Hurry into the Hyundai winning season clearance and get up to $2,000 cash back or 0% APR for up to 60 months.
When your hectic life is in fast forward, you can stop time with Time Warner Digital Cable for the time of your life. Get the most from Digital Cable and Roadrunner High Speed Online. With this back-to-school special, start your favorite movies the instant you want with eye control. Pause, rewind, or fast forward using your digital remote whenever you want. Choose from hundreds of channels with more premium channels than satellite. And the same digital cable gives you 2 great connections at the same time. With Roadrunner High Speed Online, you're always connected. Download photos, video, and music up to 50 times faster than dial-up. Make shopping a joy. And with these special savings, now is the time to get digital cable from Time Warner. For a limited time only, get 50% off digital cable, HBO, and Cinemax for 6 months, and get 50% off Roadrunner for 3 months. Time Warner Cable. Now anything's possible.
This is my second daughter to attend college, and I'm really excited about it.
I have an apartment to furnish. So I'm, just going to Walmart and Walmart.com, getting everything I need there. And I need all kinds of stuff for school.
Hey, look at this one up here.
But Walmart, everything really is a bargain. I literally go there and can shop there all day. And yet I can get anything I want there because it's very inexpensive, perfect for college students. Gotta find a backpack. Yeah. I'm very excited to flip by myself. Being on my own and paying for everything on my own. Well, kind of, sort of. My parents will help me out a little bit.
You're just minutes away from a great deal!
The 2003 Oldsaleros are loaded and priced to sell at the Spur Courtesy GM Center in Brockport. Drive one home for as low as $11,999 or Smart Buy for only $179 a month with 0 down payment, including the GM Commitment, a 5-year, 60,000-mile GM protection plan or cash alternative, and continued availability of service and parts.
You're just minutes away from a great deal! Spur Courtesy!
If you see news happen, let us know about it. Call the News 10 NBC hotline at 232-1010.
And now a recap of what's going on in our area.
Monroe County Executive Jack Doyle says a state of emergency is in effect for Monroe County. You are urged to stay off the roadways and travel only when necessary. Travel advisories have also been issued for Ontario and Livingston counties. Many traffic lights are still out. And a little good news now, RG&E says about 80 to 100,000 people in Monroe County will have power restored sometime tonight. The Red Cross has a cooling shelter set up for people who need power for their medical equipment. It's at the Carter Street Recreation Center in the city. A similar shelter is also up and running at the Penfield Ambulance Base. That's at 1585 Jackson Road in Penfield. And if you live in Wayne County, you can go to the cooling center at the Savannah Fire Department.
What a day it's been, huh?
It has been a day.
Now for a look ahead to tomorrow's weather.
Lisa, less quiet on the weather front, Janet and Brian, though I wish it was a bit cooler for those without the AC working. It will be a balmy night tonight. Temperatures tomorrow morning start in the upper 60s with some fog in the valleys, otherwise sunshine overhead. We're heading toward 90 in some spots late in the day. Lots of humidity. A classic summer day ahead. That's it from the Weather Lab. Let's go back to Brian and Janet.
All right, that's the latest from News 10 NBC. We're going to join the Tonight Show in progress.
And be sure to watch News 10 today. We'll have the very latest on the blackout situation beginning at 5:30, as well as the Monroe County state of emergency that will be lifted at 6 o'clock. Thanks for watching.
Good night.
Oh, I love this.
Again tonight with the golf itself.